Well, this is the 15th annual Carol Fitzgerald Memorial Fund, and it started obviously 15 years ago this weekend when I lost my wife, Carol, of 24 and a half years. Carol was a worker for the Minnesota Department of Health. She was an investigator of STDs, and I met her when I was in Chicago. That's where I was born and raised, and we went to the same high school, Finger High School. And Finger was the second largest high school in the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago, over 5,000 students. So I was lucky to find someone that really had some qualities that stood out even in high school that kind of reminded me of my mother. And so what I wound up doing was befriending her, and we wound up going to the prom my senior year, and we were able to stay in touch through college. She went to DePaul, I went to Indiana State, and we wound up getting married in 1979. And so Larry Jr. Was born in 1983, and then Marcus, our second son, was born in '85. And so we had two children, and this weekend, April 13th, Saturday, between 12 and 3, we have a Carol Fitzgerald Memorial Fund celebration, and that's at Martin Luther King Park at 4200 Nicollet in Minneapolis. And so people are able to come by and socialize with us, and on that occasion we recognize the grant winners in the areas of breast cancer, urban education, and HIV. And so organizations that have 501c3 accredited, and wherever they are nationally, if they apply to us and we find them able to fit the guidelines of what we're trying to do in those areas, we award grants. And so we have about 30 grant winners again this year, and so Saturday between that time, 12 to 3, that's when we officially announce who the grant winners are. Saturday night between 7 and 11 at Top Golf, that's where we're going to have our gala and benefit. And so that's where we, ask people to come out. We have a live and a silent auction. We got many great items, from all over sports, NFL, Major League Baseball, National Hockey League, NBA, even college, Final Four being here. We've got some things that many people can take advantage of, bidding on, and being able to take home with them, as well as meeting Larry Fitzgerald Jr., a future Hall of Fame football player, and then have a good time in recognizing the career achievements of his mother and my wife, and how important she was to this community, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the entire state. And it's something that it's emotional for us every year, and this is year 15. But when I started the foundation, I wanted to make certain that I recognized what she meant to me, and what she meant to us, and what she meant to this community. And so we've tried to do that by continuing to carry on some of the things that were important to her and I. And it's really been rewarding. We've raised over $1 million over these years, and every nickel we try to turn around and hand it to people through grants.
Tell me about just the support that you've gotten from all these people over the years, and what you're hoping for Saturday night.
Well, we've gotten tremendous support. I just threw some numbers at you, financial numbers, and when we first started it, we did it at Martin Luther King Park. I gave you the address, 4200 Nicollet, between 12 and 3 on Saturday. We feed folks, they come by and enjoy a great lunch, and there's little games and things for the kids. But the mission is to talk about what she meant, and then to talk about what some of these organizations are trying to do in the battles that they're having in HIV and urban education, and in breast cancer. Breast cancer took Carol's life, and took her away from us. And so it's pretty serious business considering all the federal cuts nationally in various areas for organizations, smaller community organizations that are continuing their fights within their communities to try to help people in those areas. So that's why it's important to us that people that find out about it for the first time, those that have known about it for 15 years, people that I've known. This is 40 years for me in the media business. I've covered 38 Super Bowls and numerous other great sporting events. And so got a lot of people that I know, and you just try to let as many people know what you're trying to do, and you ask them to help you. And so it's personal, but it means a lot to me to be able to get through trying to make people aware how important Carol was to me and how important she was to this community.
And now, to my understanding, you used to have a gala in Golden Valley, I think, the Metropolitan Ballroom, and this year you're moving it to Top Golf. Why the change?
Well, you mentioned Golden Valley, a tremendous event venue. I mean, I love it. But we moved from there to the Minneapolis Event Center. So those are the two locations that we've had our big gala in the years past. And we didn't start it till year 3. But over those years, those venues have been really good for us. And we've had live entertainment. We've had Jordan Sparks. We've had the Sounds of Blackness. We've had Grammy Award-winning artists that have helped us. But this year, because of the Masters, you know, it's the first weekend, first major, and until we got this crazy snow, people were at least thinking about golf. And Top Golf just moved to the Twin Cities about a year or so ago, and a number of the major sports teams in town, Vikings, Twins, Wild, have had some events there. And Larry Jr., of course, you know, he's a pretty good golfer. He has really taken up the game. And you might know he won the AT&T Pro-Am, which is a tremendous accomplishment on the PGA Tour with his teammate, Kevin Streelman, who's a PGA pro and a member of the same country club that he is. And so with Larry's connection to golf too, in fact, he played this year and made a hole-in-one with President Obama, imagine that. And as you know, he spoke at the late Senator McCain's funeral, and people really recognized that a football player, a guy, had a relationship like that with one of the great U.S. American politicians, a man who ran for the presidency of the United States and served the great state of Arizona, and for Larry to have a relationship with him and to be able to speak about him in such an elegant manner. And this year, Larry got to speak at the NFL owners meetings in Arizona to all 32 NFL owners. And so that's a huge accomplishment. I'm very proud of what he's done as a player, and I appreciate him coming back home, even though it was his mother, to help us do what we need to do, and that is to raise money to help these organizations in the fights that they have.
So someone's looking to do something Saturday night. Why would you encourage them to come out to Top Golf and support the cause and whatnot?
Well, I would suggest that, first of all, be selfish from the standpoint of just listening to why we're doing it, but also recognize that you can come by there and have a good time, meet some great people, some athletes. Larry's not going to be the only celebrity there. There'll be others, but you can count on him being there. And he was born and raised and played high school football at Holy Angels in Richfield. Was a 2-time All-American, got his scholarship, went to University of Pittsburgh, where he came within an eyelash. He was a runner-up for the Heisman Trophy to Jason White, and was drafted in the first round, number 3, by the Arizona Cardinals and Dennis Green. Dennis Green and I had a great relationship for the 10 years that he was here, 8 years in the playoffs, and he allowed me to host and produce his radio show and build my business, the National Programming Network, through it. So that's why, you know, the community, if they've seen me on television, whether it be public television, TPT, Emmy Award-winning Almanac, I've done radio for many years on KMLJ. I'm on in the mornings at 8:25. It's one of the top-rated sportscasts in the business. I was just recently honored, and I'm proud of it, by the NCAA. They gave me their Legacy Award, recognizing me as a living legend. And it humbles you when somebody like the NCAA awards me that during the Final Four, when there are over 3,500 journalists from all over the world that are here. And so those are just a few of the reasons why I hope folks will come by, so they can listen to me when I talk, and listen and meet Larry when he talks, so they realize how important this is to us, and why we need their help.